You've been through these meetings for many years. Have you seen the G20 as divided as it is today over the issue of trade in the past?
Not on the issue of trade, maybe on other issues, yes, there's been divisions, although I would not qualify the current situation as divisive. Rather, different points of view have been put on the table with a common understanding.
What's the common understanding? Because it's our understanding that the rest of the G20 does not agree with the U.S. turn towards protectionism.
There is one common understanding. I don't want to sound too optimistic, but the common understanding is no one wins the trade war. So we need to avoid trade frictions which go beyond the usual dialectics. And so I hope that the U.S., Europe, China, the big players around, will look at the situation and will avoid taking steps that would undermine the global trading system.
Well, we understand Secretary Mnuchin has been trying to turn the conversation towards China and its trading practices, but without a lot of success. Is that correct?
We have been discussing China. We have been discussing, of course, the recent U.S. measures. And as Europeans, we have reiterated that we speak with one voice, and we want to avoid any trade friction. And we want to find a solution, both through issues with the U.S. and possible issues with China.
Is there a solution?
There's always a solution. There are many solutions. Of course, the question is which one generates the best outcome and over which time horizon. There are, for instance, many colleagues, and I would support that statement, have stated that there is lots to gain in liberalization of services, which for the most part are still not open to global competition.
If I could ask you about Italy. President Mattarella has suggested that he doesn't have a particular timetable for the formation of a new government. So what should investors expect?
Investors should expect a resilient economy which continues to be resilient. The fact that this is not unusual in Europe. We have seen many cases. The latest is one, of course, is Germany, where months were needed to find a stable government. So why should Italy be different?
Would you suggest months are going to be needed in your case, or would we see a new election?
I would anticipate several weeks, maybe a couple of months. New elections are always claimed to be in the background, but I would rule them out at this stage.
How will markets be affected if a government takes a long time to form?
Well, it depends whether this time needed to form the government leads in a clear direction, and there is an implicit assumption that what has been gained in terms of higher growth, sounder public finance and confidence is maintained.
Well, are you optimistic that those conditions will continue?
I'm moderately optimistic, yes.
Moderately doesn't sound like a strong endorsement.
Well, I'm moderately optimistic because I'm still an acting finance minister. I mean, finance ministers have to be prudent with whatever they say.
What do you think your Democratic Party will do? Could it back the center-right or five-star?
The Democratic Party is at the opposition, and I think that the Democratic Party should take seriously the issue of understanding what went wrong, why the party was defeated in spite of the very good job done, if I may say so, over the past legislature. The legislature is ending now.
Well, do you have a preference?
I have a preference for policies that preserve and reinforce actions taken in the past 3 to 4 years.
Well, are any of the possible governments unacceptable?
At this stage, I cannot say something on that.
At this point, do you see anybody who would particularly carry on the work of the Democratic Party?
In individual terms?
In individual terms or party terms?
Party terms, I think that the Democratic Party is starting to have a deep-down discussion among its membership to understand the reasons of the defeat, but also the policy implications. What is the Democratic Party strategy over the medium term? This is not just an Italian issue, it's an issue across Europe. We have seen the SPD in Germany also witnessing a strong defeat, still being in government, and we have to rethink the social democratic agenda in Europe.